And CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli joins me now. Hi, Jeff. So what is the latest you can tell us about this storm's track, and what should the Gulf Coast expect over the next 24 hours?
All right, so things are starting to change right now. The system has just been kind of sitting there, as you heard David talking about, not moving. I mean, moving at 2 miles an hour. You could walk faster than that. But I think this system's starting to now make a move to the north, and I'll show you that in a second. It's holding its own. Winds are around 80 miles an hour. When it sits over the same water for hours and hours, it expends the energy, and so there's not as much energy to feed the system. That's why it has not strengthened. That, plus there's been a little bit of dry air. You can see that right there infusing into the system, but there's still a lot of convection developing near the center. Watch the last couple of frames of this. It's just kind of sitting, and then whoop, it starts to make a move to the north. So it looks like it's at least wobbling north, maybe moving north, and it's going to be headed right for Mobile Bay, give or take a few miles. Here are the latest stats on the storm right now. It's a Category 1, winds 80 miles an hour, but don't focus on the wind. The wind is going to be an issue, but it's the water that's going to be a bigger issue. First, I want to show you the track from the National Hurricane Center. So it looks like it'll make landfall early tomorrow morning, maybe slightly earlier, right around Mobile Bay, but again, give or take, could be Pensacola, could be as far west as Pascagoula. That's kind of the range of where we expect there to be landfall. Then the system slowly moves inland, the whole time dumping very heavy rain, drenching folks in that area. Here's a look at the winds field. And as you can see, as it gets close to the coast, the winds get a little stronger. Anywhere in the white are wind gusts over 80, 90, at times over 100 miles an hour. That will cause damage and power outages. Still warm this time of year down in that area. Now, the surge is an interesting story because if the storm moves onshore just west of Mobile Bay, look at the flow of the air being forced into a narrow bay, kind of a triangular bay. That would cause more flooding because the water has nowhere to go but up. However, if the system pushes a bit further to the east, the barrier island would block it and they would get less surge. It's going to be a really razor-thin, close call. But I think the biggest story with this, regardless, is going to be the rain. In the black, you can see about 24 inches of rain. Some places likely to see 30. Do I think we'll break a record? Probably not. But we'll be close. It's possible.
So am I to understand, though, you said the way the storm is changing and losing some of its power, is that a good thing?
It is. Well, it's not really losing its power too much. The winds only went down about 5 miles an hour, but it's not necessarily a good thing, and I'll explain why to you. You know, over the past 4 years, we've seen Harvey, Florence, Dorian, and now Sally. All of them had crawled to a halt as they've gotten to land. And we think this is at least partly due to a warming atmosphere, warming oceans due to human-caused climate change. In fact, the forward speed has decreased about 16% over the past few decades. Rain rates are increasing. We expect them to increase at least 14% over the next couple of decades, but it's likely going to be double that because when you factor in the slower forward speed and you factor in the fact that the atmosphere can fit more moisture, you probably have to double that. The oceans have warmed, really everywhere around the world and in the tropical Atlantic, as you can see. And Tanya, it could not be more busy than it is right now. Sally, Paulette, Renee is gone. It decayed, but yesterday it basically tied a record for the most storms at any one time. There's Vicky, there's Teddy, and here comes Wilfred. That'll likely form tomorrow. And then after that, something may form in the Southwest Gulf, and something else may form coming off Africa by the weekend. What that means is we start with Alpha. That means the Greek alphabet will need to be employed by the end of this week or this weekend. We're just smashing records left and right. We're 3 weeks ahead of record pace in the Atlantic. This could very well be the busiest season in the history of the Atlantic. Unprecedented once again.
We need new letters, more letters in the alphabet. All right. Well, Jeff Berardelli, thank you so much.